Greetings all, and welcome to another Tale of Woe. I am your storyteller Tim, and today we continue the tale of the adventures of Nuru and Wallflower. After managing to narrowly escape being devoured by an entire werewolf den, with the assistance of the Mad Mage of Mount Baratok showing up like Gandalf the White, the party managed to return back to the town of Vallaki. They had the supplies of the ale that they had, or not the ale, sorry, the wine that they had retrieved from the Wizards of Wine winery, and made their way back to Vallaki, where they were greeted with all sorts of revelry and celebration. And this was their first big win. Like this sort of finally, the people of the town actually saw them as heroes rather than outsiders. They were somewhat maligned, and people were very suspicious of them initially when they showed up after the werewolf attack. Not the werewolf attack, sorry, the direwolf attack. But after coming back with wine and managing to get the party, get the town all drunk, the town of Vallaki greeted them with praise, and especially the mayor, because or the Burgermeister rather, because the one thing that he was all about was keeping his people happy, 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 and so he was finally able to keep his people happy, happy, happy because they were drunk. One thing that occurred during the celebrations, which led to the misgivings, or the mishaps that happened in this adventure, was an old woman who would systematically come into town, and she would sell these things called dream pastries. Now, dream pastries were basically little pastries, like little party pie type things, about yay big. But when you ate them, they were basically like a drug. You would take a bite out of them and be immediately transported into a dream realm where all your dreams would come true. And this woman was basically a drug dealer, because the first one was free, and because everyone was celebrating, she came in and she was giving out the pastries, and she'd been giving out the pastries for a while now to different people, and starting to charge exorbitant amounts for each pastry after the first. But with the new members in town not knowing about this, Nuru was a little bit suspicious of it all, but Wallflower didn't care, and she went up and she got herself her first free dream pastry and was immediately transported to the realm of fairies, unicorns, and rainbows. I think I described it at the time that when she took a bite, she's immediately put into a realm where she's riding on the back of a robot unicorn with the song "Always I Wanna Be With You," the robot unicorn attack game song. But anyway, so she was out, and so that put a bit of a damper on Nuru's celebrating, and so she took Wallflower back to the Burgermeister's mansion, put her into bed, and put the pastry down beside her as well. And then immediately after Wallflower woke up, it only lasts for I think maybe an hour and a half, if I remember correctly. And immediately after that, she woke up with another big bite. She's out. So Nuru goes out on her own for a night on the town, and I wasn't going to do anything while they were out. I felt that they deserved a bit of a respite. But that was not to be the case later that night. So, later on that night, while the two of them are sleeping, Nuru is awakened by a banging on her door and the sound of bells. And the sound of bells, like little ding, was the bells from Piddlewink's hat. Piddlewink 2, of course, being the little robot doll they picked up in Castle Ravenloft. And he was trying to alert Nuru that something was up, because Wallflower was still high and unable to be roused at this stage. Now, while these two were off doing all their adventures, the other two members of the group, Brune and Eris, were still in the Burgermeister's mansion. Unfortunately, the son of the Burgermeister was an aspiring wizard, to the point he was attempting to create a portal a teleportation circle, I should say. He found a book on teleportation, and was trying to create a teleportation circle to get them out, to get himself out of Barovia. But he needed someone or someone's a pair to test it on. And at this stage, the players for Brune and Eris weren't really going to be coming back for a while, and also, if they were not going to be staying at the Burgermeister's mansion at this stage of the narrative, I needed a way to sort of get them out of the game and to allow them just to pop back in. So my solution was that this experiment was going to go wrong. Essentially, the Sun was going to be experimenting on the teleportation using Eris and Brune, but rather than teleporting them out of Barovia, which is impossible without the help of Strahd, or being a Vistani to get through the mists, rather than teleporting them to a different plane, it was going to make them dimensionally unstable. Basically, I pulled from my my sci-fi and my Doctor Who knowledge, and essentially had them that if they attempted to be teleported with this circle, it would basically put them out of phase, and so they would keep popping in and out of the dimension. So basically, if they ever needed to pop back into the game, they would suddenly reappear in phase with the dimension that Nuru and Wallflower were in. But if they needed to, if they weren't around, they would just fade out of existence and pop back into a different dimension. So it seemed like a rather convoluted and complicated way for me to hand wave this this problem away. But back to the tale. So Piddlewink knocks on the door and wakes up Nuru, and Nuru basically like, he's, what's wrong, Pity? What's wrong? Did Timmy fall down the well? So Pity's like, because Pity's mute. So it was a very fun role-playing experience for me, because I had to find a way to communicate what I was trying to say by basically having no facial expression and making the sound of bells and using hand gestures. So it was fun. I actually really enjoyed playing the NPC character of Pity. And basically, eventually, Nuru follows Pity, and there's the door, the trap door to the attic where the Sun's laboratory is. The door is open for the first time ever. Nuru, doing a bit of exploring earlier on in the campaign, had found the door and found that it was locked with all sorts of magical wards. But for the first time, the door was open, and she could hear the sound of like sparks and magics going on. And she opens up, she sticks her head up the door, and Pity up behind her, Scooby-Doo style, through the trapdoor, and they find that Eris and Brune are in the circle, and the Sun is casting a spell, everything is going, and there's lightning bolts shooting off everywhere. Obviously something is going very, very wrong. Nuru, being Nuru, decides, she shouts at him to try and stop him from casting a spell. He's not listening. Basically, I was making it so that essentially, in order to stop this guy, if they wanted to stop him at all, they were going to have to brutally injure him or restrain him completely somehow. The other point, too, I should mention, is that whenever any character in the party would show hostility to another character, Pity would automatically take this as the sign of, oh good, we're going to kill someone, and his mouth would slowly open up and the dart would extend. And this was basically an NPC instant kill dart. If anyone that they didn't want around anymore, he would just look at them and just go and shoot this dart at them, and it was just instant kill. But it was like a once per day thing, because they had to retrieve the dart and whatever. So Nuru pulls her dagger and dives at the Burgermeister's son, and she is holding him with the knife in his throat. Shut this down. And of course, he's not listening. He's casting his spell. The hands go, and so because she had the knife at his throat, my interpretation of the way that Pity would function, he went for the kill and opened his mouth and killed the Burgermeister's son. Problem for them, of course, because all this noise had awoken everyone in the house, essentially. So the Burgermeister's son drops down dead just as a massive flash, and Brune and Eris are dimensionally destabilized. In the actual campaign, anyone who actually tries to use that teleportation circle is disintegrated. So I decided to use... I didn't want them, you know, out of the game and dead. Like I said, I wanted a way to pull them in, pull them out of the game. So as soon as the Burgermeister's son is dead, Nuru's standing there with the knife at his throat. The body is slumped, and then the Burgermeister sticks his head through the trapdoor. Guards! Guards! Murder! Murder! So, oh shit. So Nuru grabs pity, knocks down the Burgermeister down the stairs, manages to shake Wallflower awake, and they are out the window and gone. She whistles, and they are mounted on the back of Stampy. They go to the stable, they get Stampy, and they're charging off down the road, and the Burgermeister's on the balcony. Guards, guards, murder, murder. Just to add insult to injury, on the way out, Nuru, arrow straight in the Burgermeister's throat to shut him up. She rolls a natural 20 on the attack, riding on the back of her zombie war elephant. So he is now mute. He can't speak anymore. He's not dead, but he is now no longer able to shout. So, not that it matters. The entire town is now alerted to their presence. And so it's now a running battle with all the guards coming down the street. They're on the back of their elephant. There's arrows flying everywhere. Wallflower's casting her web spells and her vine whips. And Pity is trying to spit his dart. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his dart, so he has his one dagger. He throws his dagger, and now he's really upset because he has no more daggers. And then they get to the gate, and of course, there's the two guards that were completely inept beforehand, helping them with the dire walls. The gate is a solid iron gate, so Stampy, bang, hits into the gate, doesn't make it through, right? So guards are gaining on them, backs up, bang, second time, the gate is splintering, arrows are flying in, they're taking hits, they're stunning people, backs up the third time, bang, smashes the gate completely open, and they are gone out into the night and down the road to their next adventure, where we will pick it up next time. But it was one of those games where it escalated so quickly and so naturally, but it was probably one of the most entertaining, I should say, railroads, I guess, that I put the party on, because I didn't expect them to... Well, I didn't expect Nuru to go all dagger on the Burgermeister's son, but, you know, I probably should have. It was one of those things, being an early DM, is that I didn't really think to expect the worst. I always gave the players the benefit of the doubt and thought they would go in a different way, but I really learnt rather quickly, as I imagine many DMs do, that when you expect the group to go one way, they'll almost always go the other. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next Tale of Woe.